this is CCT 4, which is Corner Class Tampa, our fourth show. What we endeavor to do is to provide actionable content that you can actually use to make money in real estate immediately. So we offer typically one technique. Rodney, I'm going to mute you. We offer typically one technique per session per masterclass that will be used that you could use to make money immediately. The first few shows we talked about getting capital for your ventures. We talked about using trade lines. We discussed ways that you can increase your credit score. We discussed lenders that are lending in today's COVID-19 market. We even identified a few banks that you could put in an application on, or talk to one of the lending managers to see if you qualify or what you need to qualify. We have Ty, and who is the owner of his company, as well as Gilbert Bennet will be joining us shortly. He's just wrapping up another class that can still speak with you on financing your deal. Not only do they have expertise in traditional lending, but also hard money and other sources. So I'm going to let Ty and Gilbert speak briefly, but today is deal flow, particularly wholesaling. So again, my name is David Carmena, Carmena Enterprises. We are a full service, all real estate related services. So if you are interested in that, I'll leave my information on. But again, we cover 3 rules: no soliciting, no spamming, and no selling. So we are not here to sell you anything. We're here to provide content only. If you need any additional services, we're gonna, at the end of it, and actually going ahead, everyone, the contributors, if you can put your information in the chat box to everyone, you can reach out to them. We will not spam or solicit you, so we will not reach out to you. But if you need additional services, please feel free to reach out to Rodney or Ty, and they're leaving their information. They're going to leave their information in the chat box so that you can reach them. All right, so we're about ready to start here. Do we have any questions? Starting off with any questions. All right, Ty, if you could go ahead and give us a little 1-2 minutes about yourself and your company, services that you offer, and then we will go straight to Rodney to a brief introduction and start with wholesaling.
Hey, absolutely. Good morning, everyone. My name's Ty Holt Jr. I own Fluxx Mortgage Financial. We offer, as David said, a plethora of funding options. So whether you need standard mortgage refinance, or if you do need something that's a little bit more complex, like hard money, investment capital, etc., we can provide all of them. My experience before lending was in investing. So if you do need investment capital, even some advice of how to structure certain things, what to look for, how to work with contractors, contracts, etc., please use me as a resource. Feel free, and I'll be here to answer any questions.
All right. So Gilbert, we are just in the introduction. Rodney, Gilbert, we'll come back to you. Rodney, just quickly introduce yourself, then we'll get Gilbert to introduce himself, and then Rodney, we're going to go back to you to talk about wholesaling. Rodney, you're on mute. Here, let me take you out. There you go. Go ahead.
All right. I'm Rodney Washington. I'm a local real estate agent with Carmena Associates Realty Group. I've been in real estate about altogether 6 years. I've been a licensed real estate agent for over a year. I got my start in wholesaling. So that's it.
So Rodney, you actually started as a wholesaler before you became a traditional realtor.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, all right. So we're looking forward to what you have to say. Gilbert, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick. Take 1 or 2 minutes, and then we'll get right into the presentation.
All right. I'm Gilbert Bennet with My Easy Mortgage, and what we are is primarily a residential lender here in Tampa, and we deal mostly, like I say, with people buying 1 to 4 unit buildings that we consider residential real estate. So a little bit of commercial, but primarily that commercial is limited to what I call non-bankable, right? So if the bank's not going to give you a loan, we might have an option for you as well. For real estate investors, what we do is we have a number of relationships with institutional hard money, which is a little bit cheaper sometimes, but it does come with a few more rules than, say, that private lender who might be doing it. So I also started in wholesaling. That's how I got into real estate about 10 plus years ago, and maybe 13 years ago, actually. And that set me up for the down payment on my first investment property I purchased.
All right, so we have a bunch of wholesalers that started wholesalers, and that's the power of wholesaling, is that if you don't have any money or you don't want to invest your money into the game just yet, you can stick your toe in the water, the real estate waters, and wholesaling with no money, or then ideally, here's the flow, guys, is that oddly enough, is you start with using no money, wholesaling or some other techniques that we're going to cover later on, where you don't put a whole lot of your cash in. And that's because maybe you don't have a lot of cash, or you're just not quite sure that this is what you want to do. Then you start using, family and friends money, or, angel investors or something like that, hard money. Then you have enough money to start using your money in as part of the mix. And then you go back to using other people's money when you can do traditional lending. So it's kind of interesting how it's from a capital standpoint, you progress in your real estate career. But right now we're talking about wholesaling. So we're talking about a technique that will allow you to start investing in real estate with little to no money. So Rodney, could you go ahead and walk us through the process and a couple of techniques, please?
Okay. All right. So I'm doing, this is one technique to finding properties. You can drive around your neighborhood or even walking the dog. This technique is called driving for dollars. And I was just driving around the neighborhood, and I came across this property right here. Let me turn it around. All right. All right. So, all right. So I see that this house is vacant. There is no blinds, no curtains. It's empty. So I went and put the address in the Hillsborough County property website, and I see that the owner has a different mailing address. So we call these people an absentee owner. That means that they own the property, but they do not live here. So also I have, since I'm a realtor, so I have other avenues as well. So I already know that this property is a distressed property. They is behind on the mortgage, so I can see that. Ordinarily, regular people won't be able to see that, but because I'm a realtor, I'm able to see that. So with this distressed property owner, you'll get in contact with them and ask them if they would like to sell by sending them a letter to their mailing address. And you, once you get in contact with them, you give them a cash offer. So with this particular property in this shape, I've seen that it can go for 120,000 fixed up and everything. So with this, the cash offer that I will give them will be 50,000, 40 to 50,000 cash. And that's what, after you do your due diligence and see how much the repairs is, and you see how much the repairs is, then you go and you, that's why you offer that amount. You just don't go in and blindly and say, hey, I'm just gonna offer this person 50,000. You actually need to do research of how much the repairs is gonna cost you. So this particular property, I will ask about 40,000. From what I can see through the window, it just need a few cosmetic repairs, maybe 20,000 altogether at the maximum. Let me turn this back around. So 20,000 max for cosmetic repairs. So what you want to do with that 40,000, you get this house under contract for 40,000. Now it's yours. You have an equity share of this property for 40,000. You're in control of this property. So you turn around with that contract and you advertise it to other people who are doing flips or doing flips and have cash. So with that contract, you tell them that you have this property that you have for 40,000, that you will sell them this property for 45,000. So I'm just making it easy. So you will sell this property to them for 45,000. Remember that you got it under contract for 40,000. So you're gonna turn around and sell that contract to someone else for 45,000. And you know it's gonna go for 45,000 because you did your research and you're not going in this blindly. There's plenty of information about wholesaling on YouTube. You could contact us anytime to help you out. So with that 40, so you're selling it to them for 45,000. You go to a title company. You purchase the home. They purchase the home for 45,000. Now you just made 5,000. That's pretty much the simple basic terms. So you'll be making 5,000 off of this property for a little bit of work. Driving for dollars. It may not even been a whole 8 hours. It may have been 1 hour. You just driving by and you see this property and you got it locked up. So you just made $5,000 in that short time.
All right, so let's unpack what you just said. You are looking for an opportunity, possibly a distressed property, right? And you're finding that distressed property in areas. So are you looking in, what type of areas are you looking in? Are you looking in good areas, up and coming areas, bad areas? Let's talk about the area that a person would drive for dollars. And by the way, guys, driving for dollars is a pretty common concept for investors. Basically, what you're doing is you're canvassing an area. If you're a traditional real estate, you may say it's your farm area, but for just a general investor, just an area that you have an interest in. So, Rodney, what area should a person look in for a wholesale deal?
Okay, so that's a good point. You don't want any really bad area, they call them war zone. You want up and coming areas that that in a little bit of time, the area will be coming up in value. That's the best bet. You also want to do a broad range. You want to go working class family areas, even, you know, you may find a diamond in the rough in some really high class areas that maybe the person is getting foreclosed on. So, you know, but to keep it simple, you know, you want to stay in working class areas until you get enough experience to know how to work the deals with the higher class homes.
All right, so you're looking in a particular area, and then you mentioned something about absentee homes. So tell me a little bit more about absentee. What is an absentee home? Are there any ideal absentee homes, and how would someone know that the home is absentee? What are some clues and that you could see just by driving the area that this may be an absentee home?
Okay, so like this home, um, let me flip that around. So like this home, it is, you know, you can tell that it's vacant. You can tell it is vacant.
What are some signs that would let someone know that, you know, the home is vacant or the home is distressed?
Okay, so usually it has high grass, empty windows, boarded up windows, which this home has some boarded up windows in the back. That's the signs that to look for. Any damages to the roof, like one of those blue tarps on the roof, is a good sign. Like I said, boarded up, empty houses. You know it's empty, especially if you driving around your neighborhood and you know your neighborhood pretty good. You know its houses are vacant. So also, so when you see a home like that, let me flip this around here. You go to the Hillsborough County property appraiser website. Can you guys see that? Do I need to zoom in?
You know, they
We
can
see it.
a little bit, but it's just Hillsborough. If you Google Hillsborough County property appraiser,
Okay.
you can get there.
Yeah. So you go to the property appraiser website, and it will show the name of the homeowner, and it will say the site address. That's the address of the home that you're looking at, which is this one. This is the site address that I'm at now. Then it's going to have mailing address, and that is the address of the homeowner. And if that mailing address is different from the site address, you know that they are an absentee owner. And David, you were speaking on like what's the best type of absentee owner? That would be a person with a mailing address that's out of state. If they out of state, they more than likely are looking to sell, especially if it's vacant. Is a better probability than someone that's just 10 minutes away from the property.
All right, so you're saying that if the property looks abandoned, disheveled, high grass, boarded up windows, a bad roof, that type of thing,
Exactly.
and you have once you do some research on the owner of the property through the Hillsborough County Property Appraisers website, and Gilbert sent the website in the chat box, guys, as well as the Pasco County property appraiser and Pinellas County property appraiser website. So every county has a property appraiser. So even if this particular class is focused primarily in the Tampa Bay area and so Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, and surrounding areas. But let's say you're in Miami, Jacksonville, they have the same technique can be used at the property appraiser website. So you go there, you see that the owner is the property is in need of repair, it's disheveled and is vacant. That's one. Then you go to the website, and then the website has an absentee or owner that's in outside of the state of Florida, or even if the house is in Tampa and they live in, you know, Pensacola, Florida, or someplace that's far from Florida, then you know, you contact those people. So Rodney, you're saying that it's better if you send an email. I mean, sorry, send a letter or try to call them somehow, or how would I contact an absentee owner?
So for the lowest cost, it will be sending a mailer. There are companies that do skip tracing where you can find the phone number to the owner, which, you know, which is good, because if they don't respond to your letter, then you have the opportunity to call them.
All right. So you touched on something else. So it's not a one and done. You're going to constantly try to reach this owner. Is that correct?
Yes.
Gilbert,
We're going to try.
Gilbert has his hand up. Gilbert, go ahead.
So skip tracing is an effective method, right? It's private investigators that look, but a lot of people have not removed their information from basic searches. So I put in the chat box a link for truepeoplesearch.com. There's probably 20 odd websites for it. If you look yourself up, you'll go see how much of your information is readily available on there. And it's the same thing for a named seller who hasn't gone in and removed their info. And one other suggestion I used to use when wholesaling homes or looking for homes to wholesale is I would find that house Rodney's at, and I would stick one of my signs in the driveway or in the grass that says, call me if you know the owner. If you can put me in touch, I'll pay you $250 if they sell it to me, or $1,000 if they sell it to me. And you'd be surprised at how many neighbors want to get a house with an overgrown lawn or squatters sitting in it, sold and rehabilitated, and will call you, give you the owner's name and all of their history too. Oh, they dead, but they daughters, and all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of methods that I'm sure we'll continue to go into.
Right.
How to reach owners and vacant property owners in the future.
Absolutely. Gilbert is 100% correct. But one thing that I want to make sure that we touch on, because that Gilbert raised a good point, is that as a licensed agent versus an investor, there are different rules of how you can compensate someone for a real estate transaction. And in some cases, it's better to not be a licensed agent with respect to compensating a real estate transaction than someone that is a licensed agent. And so, you know, a lot of investors work with a real estate agent to do some of the due diligence on the home, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But they can also have generous finding fees and other fees that you may, that a licensed agent does not have, that would have to adhere to. So there are advantages if you're not licensed and you are finding, you're facilitating a real estate transaction. A lot of these things are, you know, they may not be illegal, but they could be, if you're a licensed agent, if you do some of those practices, it could be interpreted as an unfair advantage and other things that we'll get into a little bit later. But Gilbert is 100% correct. As an investor, non-licensed, you know, if you want to have some type of finding fee or some type of compensation as a private citizen to another private citizen, that's something that, you know, is probably okay. I'm not a legal, I'm not a lawyer, and this is not considered legal advice. So do not sue me. But yeah, those are some techniques that you can do to get information. There are other websites that we could offer that will do some form of skip tracing or some form of of identifying who the owner is that we use. So we found the opportunity, we found the property. We are realized that it is an absentee owner. And then there again, if it's not absentee owner, as we can develop wholesaling, we can talk a little bit more about that in other classes. And then now you mentioned, Rodney, that you evaluated the property to identify, you know, I assume how much equity is in that property, or if it's an idea property to wholesale. How would someone identify if the property is a good value?
Okay, so before I was an agent, I used to go to Zillow, and I'm not sure if they still have this where they have three. You put in the address, and it has the
comps. Yeah,
three. Yeah, it has the comps. It has
it does.
3 homes that sold. That's pretty. That's like this property here. That's how I used to do it. You said that they still do it like that now?
Right. Zillow has comps that they use to identify the price of the subject property. They still do that.
Okay.
But also, so Zillow is one source. Are there any other sources?
To find the property, get with a real estate agent. That's just back then. That's how I did it. I only did it with the Zillow only, and if I had a real estate agent friend, he'll let me know the value of the home.
And that's what a lot of investors do, is that they contact real estate agents, and if in most cases, if they're upfront, and I know that when I first started my career, there were, and this was, remember, when I first started, this was in the height of the depressed market. This is when the market crashed for real estate investors. I mean, for real estate in general. So there was a lot of investors in the market. And I just got my license, and a couple of people call up and under false pretenses, and I don't recommend that. I think that if you call up an agent and say, listen, I'm an investor, I will use you if we close on a deal, but if you could give me comps, of a certain property, and maybe help me out with the process, then when I am ready to purchase, then I will use you. Or if I decide not to wholesale this property, if I decide to actually flip the property, I would use you. Or, you need, sometimes the paperwork can be written through a realtor, and then the realtor can be on the buy side. So there's a lot of ways of working with a realtor. And that person, that real estate agent, will also give you additional information about the property, the area, what's a good price. If a realtor has worked with investors in the past, then he probably can help you with what may be a good flip price. I mean, what may be a good assignment price. So there's a lot of upside to working with a realtor, and for the realtor, there's a lot of upside by establishing a relationship too. So, Rodney, you're saying that besides Zillow and Realtor.com and other places that give you a desktop evaluation or snapshot evaluation, maybe working with a realtor or someone who has access to the MLS and knows how to, an appraiser, which is unlikely probably, but if you have an appraiser friend, someone that can give you a little bit more accurate idea of the value of the home, is a good idea to work with that person.
Yes. And the word comps, like you mentioned, David, to the people who may not know what that is, it is it's the value of the home. So the general rule of thumb, you take 3 homes that sold that has the same criteria as the home that that you're looking at, and that give you the sale value of the home. There's a little bit more detail about that, but for a quick, it says the last 3 homes that sold that's just like the home that that you're looking at.
So, Ty, you mentioned, and both Gilbert, both of you guys mentioned that you guys did some wholesaling to start off your career. Ty, how did you find the value of the property that your subject property?
Okay, so whenever I needed values, I was fortunate. I had a lot of friends that were real estate agents. So to be fully transparent, I would have the login information to their
Oh
realtor
no,
account.
we don't do that here. I'm just kidding.
So I would just log in and see, or I would make a phone call, you know. So I would have 5, 6 addresses, and I would send those addresses to my agents and just say, hey, what do you guys see? And you know, when you're an avid investor, or if you're providing some sort of benefit or some sort of traction for that agent, they're going to want to get you those proper numbers. They're going to want to hurry up and look for it and get you the comps, etc. So essentially, I would just utilize my resources. Looking myself, if I were to use a website on my own, sometimes I would kind of steer clear of a Zillow. I feel like Zillow is more incorrect than correct most times. But I do like realtor.com. So if I did it on my own, realtor.com, if you know the area and you know the market, then obviously you have a leg up. But other than that, I would trust the professionals. Speak to the realtors.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we and again, I know that if you were to approach the realtor, if they're friends, that's great. If they're not friends, and say, hey, listen, you know, I want to invest in this market, I'm going to start wholesale. I mean, just be honest with the realtor. In most cases, the realtor help you out. You know, they, especially if they know that area, they know the value. They've already pulled comps. If not that property, maybe a property down the street. You know, they have a really good feel of what the pricing should be in that area, and they're happy to help you. Don't think that if you're a new investor, don't think that you have to do it alone. You have a lot of options for material that you can use with different websites, as well as working with a realtor. All right, so now we have the home. We've talked to the owner, and the owner says, yes, I will sell the home to you for cash. We just throwing numbers out here. $40,000 is the example that Rodney mentioned. So Rodney, what's next? You said that you would then send it to you've signed the contract, you have an equitable interest in the property. You're right. And then you said that you sent it the opportunity to in a buyer that will actually close on the property, and that buyer probably is going to be a flipper, you saying?
Yes. So you know, you advertise it to your buyers, the people who have cash. You can also do a Facebook, advertisement for that you got a property for $45,000. Back then, I don't know if it's now, but Craigslist, that used to be my go-to. You put properties on Craigslist, and they used to eat it up. But I know times has changed. Facebook may be better now. But you send it out. You email to your friends, your buyers. There's different Facebook groups for investing. Those are always nice. Cash buyers Facebook groups. So you want to send it out to those people, and once they see the value in the property that you have did your research on, they will know that is a good deal.
All right, so you have the paper, you have it on the contract. You send the contract, or you send the opportunity out to people who are interested in personally buying the property. These are probably cash buyers because most of these properties are in pretty distressed condition, I would imagine. And they close on the property. How quickly can they close? We're talking 10 days or something like that, right? We're not talking the traditional 30 days. Are we talking the traditional 25 to 30 days to close on a property? Rodney?
Yes, the turnaround for a cash sale is very quick. It can happen as little as 3 days if the title company is really good, and as quick as 3 days at the most. Maybe maybe a week and a half, but the turnaround is pretty fast for cash sales.
Right. So if you close, this is a cash sales only scenario, guys. So if you're closing on a cash sale, basically as soon as the title is clear and the funds are sent to the title company, you can close. The end buyer can actually close on that property. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
And then at that time, in this scenario, you mentioned it was a 5,000 spread. You purchased it for 40, and let's say you're selling it for 45. You get your money at the close of the property. Is that correct, Rodney?
Yes, you'll get compensated just like the seller. You'll go and pick up your check from the title company, and you have your money. Also, David, you mentioned assignment fee, and that is the $5,000. It's called an assignment fee, and that is yours.
All right. So if you do this, and 5,000 is probably the minimum. You can actually have more. You can actually set your fee, assignment fee, Rodney. Is that correct?
Yes. You can do it as high as 10,000, 20,000, but you got to think about it. If you're doing it too high, is the value going to be worth it where people want to buy it at the price that you set it? Let's say you do, I said this property, you can get it for 40,000. If you set it up for a $20,000 assignment fee, that's 60,000. And there may not be enough room for the person, the end buyer, to make any money. So it has to be a give and take.
So that's kind of the meat on the bone concept that we talked about last session, master session, is that you got to give room. You give some room for the end buyer to actually make some money, or for it to be attractive to the end buyer. And so give you an example. Let's say you have a house that's $100,000 that you can purchase it for, and the house sells for in a good condition. The house sells for $150,000. So initially, you think there's a $50,000 spread, and that's a good thing. But when you factor in that the repair cost is $20,000, let's say, and then your fee, if you have, like Rodney said, a $20,000 fee for an assignment, or for moving the paper, giving them the paper on the home, the opportunity on the home, then really that's only $10,000 ideally that the end buyer would possibly make. So you're asking the end buyer to invest $150,000, and which is at risk. $140,000 is at risk to make $10,000, and then that's may not be attractive to an end buyer. Same scenario, you have a $100,000 home, you still have $20,000 to fix it up, and your assignment fee is you're giving you're selling the paper or assigning the paper for $5,000. Now the end user have 25,000 in value after repair value, or a profit that he can make on the home. That's a little bit more attractive than having 5,000 to 10,000. So you want to, as a real estate wholesaler, you want to make sure that your end user can eat also. There's enough meat on the bone for everyone. Everyone can eat. Everyone can make a little bit, make some profit. So you don't want to, this may not be one of the scenarios where you are greedy. If you can do with no money in a couple of hours, of work, you can make $5,000-$10,000, and you can repeat this, guys. So as long as you got hustle, if you get out there and let's say you do one a month, or you do 10 deals a month or 20 deals a month, 10 deals a month at 5,000, you made $50,000. 20 deals over a year at 5,000, you made $100,000. In addition to whatever money that you're making in your normal job, if you have one, or you can use that money that you have made to get into more of a traditional flipper role where you're actually finding deals, but instead of having the end user get all the profit, instead of you making $5,000 on the deal and the end user, the end buyer makes $30,000, now you have enough money to put down and work with Ty for hard money or traditional loans, or Gilbert for hard money or traditional loans, and then you have a real estate agent as part of your team. Now you can take down deals and make $30,000 a deal, $40,000 a deal. The last deal we did was we made $67,000. So it really is a great opportunity if you have hustle and don't mind working. A great opportunity to make money in real estate with absolutely no money out your pocket, and that's what wholesaling is. Any questions about wholesaling for Rodney or Ty or Gilbert had to leave because he had another meeting? But any financing questions or any questions related to wholesaling in general? All right, so I have one from chat. Thank you. Let me read it. Okay, so with wholesaling, okay, so they talked about the paperwork for wholesaling. All right, so we're going to cover that in next one. The next class is going to be wholesaling part 2. And in wholesaling part 2, we'll talk a little bit more about the back end part of wholesaling. Because as Rodney mentioned, you are keeping in contact with potential owners. And so you may have a database of 10, 20, 50, 100 owners that you're following up on. So we're going to cover that, as well as what paperwork is used. The next CCT5, which is the next corner class, which is the first Wednesday of next month. We have one for you, Ty. When did you start doing wholesaling, and how did, basically, I'm going to add to that, how did you transition from wholesaling to your mortgage company and other things? Ty? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm here. I had to take you off mute. Sorry. So my experience with wholesaling isn't that extensive. I started on the investment side, but when it came to wholesaling, the properties I would come across, it would literally be brought to me by either properties that I saw that were distressed and I did the legwork and reached out, or other connections and other people that knew I was in real estate, and they would call with, hey, it's 2 properties you should probably look at. I might know the owner. I can get into it. So wholesaling, I typically took what fell into my lap. Okay. Because it is a lot of legwork that comes with wholesaling, and you have to be ready for that. What I did was more so fix and flips. So to answer your question, did I start by wholesaling? It was a small portion of it. The majority was still investments. And the risk, was that question geared to me also? Because I can only think of one risk that's worth sharing, or was that to someone else?
No, go ahead. You can answer it. Mm-hmm.
So the only risk that really sticks out with me is if you're a wholesaler that leaves deposits on properties, and if you don't necessarily have the network to get properties sold in a fast enough time while you have that property under contract. I have heard stories where someone might lose, $2,000 if they gave the original owner a small deposit, something like that. But going off of some of the suggestions that Rodney made, I mean, if you do have a property and you position it the right way and put it into the right places, I don't necessarily see a good valued property sitting, especially in a positive and active market.
All right. Thank you, Ty. So, Rodney, how roughly, and this is directly to you, how many hours a day are you driving for dollars?
Well, at the time I was doing about at least maybe 1 to 2 hours a day. That was, I drop my kids off at school and I drive around the neighborhood. You go out to the store, to the supermarket, and you just drive around that area as well. So it probably adds up to an hour or two.
So they didn't ask this question, but you see a lot of bandit signs out there, or signs out there. Did you ever post any signs?
Yes. I had a bunch of the I buy houses cash is the signs that people usually see. A lot of people get more creative. Dad buys houses, but anytime you see a sign that says I buy houses cash, that usually is a wholesaler.
Okay. All right. So that was the last question. Are there any other questions? Any other questions for Ty, Rodney, or any questions about wholesaling that we can help you with? Great. Okay, so we have one come in, but we will talk about again some of the back end wholesaling techniques in the next corner class, which is the first Wednesday of the month. I want to thank you guys for coming to corner class 4, CCT 4. Kind of give an overview. We talked about wholesaling. We talked about ways where you can make money with no money. If you have any other questions for Ty or for Rodney, if you look in the chat box, you can see that their numbers and the contact information. Let's see, I see Rodney's, Ty, and I see Ty. You can see both of their contact information in the chat box, and it's sent to everyone. The chat box to get to it is down at the bottom of your screen. If you move your mouse down there, you can see chat. Just open it up. You can see their information. Reach out to them. These are good guys that can help you with funding or finding deals, and they can help you with your real estate investment. So if there's no other questions, I want to thank everyone to come into Corner Class Tampa, and we'll see you at the next Corner Class Tampa, which is the first Wednesday of next month, and we're going to talk about the back end for wholesaling. Thank you, everyone.
All right, see you
I don't want to hear you talk about it. I don't want to hear what you're gonna do. Anytime that you're about it, the more you talk, the more you've got to prove. Don't tell me that you understand it. Don't tell me that I'm too demanding. I need you to show me you're taking this too slowly. Don't tell me that you're what I need now. I believe that when I see so. Time for you to show